Retired Captain Ben Collins is a U.S. Army Special Forces veteran, a Green Beret who served 3 tours in Afghanistan. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Shannon.
All right, what do you make of this? Because the borders there in many of these problem areas are very porous. And what we're hearing is that these Tunisian gunmen allegedly slipped into Libya, got training, and came right back and carried out this attack.
Certainly. Well, I mean, I think the border, the border issue is something that's kind of come home to roost, right? I mean, if you look at a lot of the countries like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, there was a lot of support, certainly, to kind of undermine the country of Syria for Assad. So they were facilitating not just with financial assistance, but also with routes. So, there have been, historical rat lines, as we would call them, that have been utilized for many years. And look, it's a humongous border. We know that it's pretty rampant. It costs maybe $25 to $30 equivalent to pay somebody to get across. And there's absolutely just no way that they can manage it from a size perspective to ensure that nobody's getting through.
And today we have a scattering of suicide bombings at mosques in Yemen. And again, ISIS stepping up and saying they're also responsible for that. Do you think, first of all, that could be the fact, or and any time there is a murderous rampage of this nature, that ISIS is simply going to step up for recruiting and fundraising purposes and say, yeah, it was us, we had a connection?
Well, I think we still need to learn a little bit more. But look, at the end of the day, these attacks at the mosques, the attacks at the mosques certainly have the hallmarks of it, of an ISIS attack, and they've been very good and very liberal with social media. But really, it's going after this. The Sunni, the narrative of this kind of Iranian, right? Because they attacked, the Iranian-backed al-Houthi rebels that have taken over. Just about every Sunni Islamist group would have, motivation, which is of tremendous concern. Certainly, the Iranian influence, as General Petraeus mentioned recently.
Yeah, and to that point, I want to read a little bit of his very wide-ranging interview he did with the Washington Post, and he said, I would argue that the foremost threat to Iraq's long-term stability and the broader regional equilibrium is not the Islamic State. Rather, it is Shiite militias, many backed by and some guided by Iran. What do you make of that assessment?
I couldn't agree more, to be honest, Shannon. Look, what we're really looking at is it's a difference between a tactical and a strategic kind of view, right? So from a tactical view right now, ISIS is an incredible threat. From a strategic perspective, Iran is gaining just more and more, hegemony in certainly that region. And what it really comes down to, I think, right? I mean, I think, unfortunately, the president had a myopic statement not too long ago about the causes for this. But really, if we look at it, we're looking at, about 150 years worth of an identity struggle, right? So, I mean, these Arab states are struggling with, nationalism and secularism on one hand and Islamism on the other hand. And I think that, for the first time, Iran is really seeing what could be a breakdown of those borders that were designed in 1916 and actually get control. And there's a quote. Look, a former advisor or a current advisor to the Iranian president said just recently that publicly, he said Iran is an empire, and I quote, there is no way to divide the territory between Iran and Iraq. So that really shows, what's behind this and their motivation and what their achievements are, or what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, their long-term goals. All right, Captain Ben Collins, thank you, sir, for your service and for being with us today.